Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are very excited to have you for Share It in the Kitchen Prep and Rally with Dini Klein. I'm Jessica Jablon. I am the California Program Coordinator at Share It. For those of you who don't know about Share It, we help women and families facing breast and ovarian cancer, as well as those who are at elevated genetic risk, through free, confidential, and personalized support and resources. We also provide health education throughout the country. One of our goals is to make sure we're offering healthy living and cancer prevention information to you and giving you what support you need. In addition to our virtual services that can be found on our website or by emailing us, you can also access prior webinars on a range of cancer-related topics, as well as access our calendar of upcoming virtual programs on our website. Today's webinar is being recorded and live streamed on our Facebook account. So hi to our friends watching. Participants' faces and names will not be in the recording as long as you remain muted. It will be posted on Share It's website along with a transcript in the next week. For those of you on Zoom, if you would like to remain private, you can turn off your video and rename yourself, or you can call into the webinar. Instructions are in the chat box now for both options. You may have noticed all participants were muted upon entry. Please keep yourself on mute. Please keep yourself on mute throughout the call. If you have questions for Dini, put them in the chat box, either publicly or click on Share It in the chat box to submit a private question, and I will ask them throughout the program. We will send out a follow-up email with tips and recommendations from today's webinar with the recording in the next week or so. We are very excited to be back with our Share It in the Kitchen series, an initiative in partnership with Cedars-Sinai here in Los Angeles to empower those of us at risk for breast and ovarian cancer to make healthier diet choices. We've had wonderful guests for this healthier cooking series, and we invite you to check out our prior Share It in the Kitchen webinars on our website at the link in the chat. You should have received the recipes for today's program in advance, but my colleague is going to put the link in the chat box so you can download and print it or see it on your screen. We also want to thank our incredible sponsors, Cedars-Sinai, SITK, Merck, and the Cooperative Agreement DP19-1906 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It is because of their generous support that we have been able to continue to provide our series of webinars. We also want to thank our Share It Summit Pink, Teal, and You sponsors, AZI, GSK, Seagen, DHE Sankyo, Merck, Pfizer, Exact Sciences, and Lilly. I encourage you to check out our upcoming summit programming, including some incredible national webinars starting on October 19th with Ask and Advocate, creating a positive relationship with your treatment team. We are putting the link to the summit in the chat so you can see the incredible virtual and in-person events that are happening all over the country, thanks to the support of the generous sponsors I mentioned before. As you may know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This month, we are trying to encourage hundreds of women to get mammograms because early detection saves lives. If you have scheduled a mammogram in the last 6 months or schedule one through the end of 2022, you can enter for a chance to win $360. To enter, all you need to do is call your doctor, schedule an appointment, and then fill out the Google form that's in the chat. Make your appointment today, and I highly recommend that you follow us on social media at Share It Official on Instagram and Share It on Facebook to find out about events like today, contests, or life-saving information. Share what's posted so others can learn about the information shared and know that Share It is there as a resource and for support. Now, before we meet Dini Klein, I want to introduce one of our wonderful volunteers, Elena, who will be sharing her story with us this morning.
Hi, can you hear me okay? My name is Elena Huskalavici, and I live in LA with my husband and 3 kids. I actually live down the block from Dini, so I can go over there and sample whatever she's making when she's done. I just wanted to quickly share my breast cancer story, and I hope it brings you comfort and strength, and I'm not here to scare anyone. As you can tell from my hairstyle, it's all still a bit recent. I found a lump in my breast over Passover of 2021 when I was 32 years old, at 32. I was on vacation with my family, and every time I put a bathing suit on or I got dressed or I got in the shower, I noticed a lump in my right breast. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I noticed it, but I thought it might be a clogged milk duct from nursing because I had a 1-year-old, or a swollen lymph node, maybe from the COVID vaccine. I just didn't really put that much thought into it, but I did notice it. A month or so went by and I noticed it was growing instead of shrinking. So I decided to get it checked out. A friend of mine urged me to. And I'm very grateful that she did. So I made an appointment and I was in that doctor's office for, I don't know, a couple hours, mammogram, biopsies, ultrasounds. And I happened to have been hosting a party at my house that night. So I didn't have the headspace to think anything of this appointment. I was just focusing on going home and opening my doors to a big party. My mind was distracted, which is a huge blessing because the next morning, as we were cleaning up the party, I got a phone call saying that I had stage 2 triple negative breast cancer and I had to start chemo right away. Everything from that moment on went really, really fast. From the time I got the call to starting treatment was probably a week. I had 5 months of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation, a double mastectomy, and reconstruction. I found out from this that I carried the BRCA1 gene, which was strange and unexpected to me at the time because I didn't really have any cancer in my family. As it turns out, the gene was carried through my father's side, which people always think that it's carried through the woman. So it kind of went undetected. And I really see this part of the diagnosis to be a huge blessing in disguise, because had I known that I was a BRCA carrier when I first felt the lump, I would have gotten it checked out right away. So by knowing that there is BRCA1 in my family, it's just a huge blessing knowing that for my extended family and my family or anyone related to me, knowing that it could be in their lineage. I was so blessed to be a part of such an amazing community and family and group of friends. My family in New Jersey came and lived with us for a little bit. They took turns. They took turns flying in and staying with us during treatment. And everyone pitched in some way, whether it was to make dinner, take a carpool, schedule a play date. I found that while I was undergoing treatment, I had a very hard time making decisions. So just somebody there to say, here's dinner, here, your daughter has a play date, something like that was really needed and everything for me. As I reflect back on what everyone did for me, I'm so inspired to do more for others, to send a text to somebody going through something, even if they don't respond, to drop something off at a door, even if they don't open the door. I think oftentimes we come up with excuses, or at least I do, oh, they want privacy, or I don't want to overstep. But every small gesture that I received, was large and small gesture, was noticed and appreciated. And it inspired me to do more for others. Thank God I am cancer-free now and recovering, trying to get my life back on track. And just be kind and, kind to yourself, and little by little, feel like you're back to yourself. And I just wanted to thank Sharsheret for the opportunity to speak here today, for putting this together, and enjoy Dini's demo.
Thank you so much, Elena, for sharing, for the tips that you shared, and for for really sharing your story with us. It makes such a difference to hear other people's stories. Now I'm excited to introduce Dini Klein. Dini is a food host, founder of the Prep and Rally family meal prep subscription service, and the author of Prep and Rally, An Hour of Prep, a Week of Delicious Meals. Dini has worked with brands such as Walmart, Starbucks, Weight Watchers, Pop Sugar, Barilla, and appeared on national television from CW to Hallmark Channel and Access Hollywood. Prep and Rally is Dini's solution to getting a wholesome dinner on the table on those busy weeknights when juggling mommying and work life feels almost impossible. She shares her creativity in the kitchen to help moms all over the world. You can find her at Prep and Rally on all social media platforms. And if you follow her on Instagram, you know how beautiful and delicious her recipes look. This cookbook is amazing. Please stay tuned to the end of our webinar and fill out our survey for a chance to win one of 3 signed copies of Dini's cookbook. Welcome to Shared in the Kitchen, Dini. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll turn it to you.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone, the Share team, for having me. Thank you, Elena. You are such an inspiration and amazing. I really saw her go through this whole process, and she just did it with such poise, and I'm just in absolute awe. She's amazing. Just absolutely amazing. And a good friend, so you better come over for lots of good food this afternoon, okay? Lots of good stuff. My name is Dini Klein. For those of you who don't know me, I wrote a book, Prep and Rally, and it's all about my unique meal prep system that I came up with years ago when I was working as a private chef in Manhattan. Essentially, I was cooking for everyone else for about 8 years, taking care of their fridge stocking, prepping their Shabbat dinners, Shabbat meals, cooking meals for 20 people, 25 people, birthday parties, you name it. And I would come home to an empty kitchen and my family was starving and we would just eat cereal and pasta, just things that were easy, because after a long day, it was the last thing I felt like doing was cooking again. So I knew I had to get smart and creative because everyone was really hungry in my family. Then I had kids and they were super hungry and I just couldn't keep up with the eating pasta and cereal. Like, we needed real food. So I started doing what I essentially was doing for my clients, which was prepping staples at the start of the week that they were then able to mix and match throughout the week to create unique meals every night. So I'd prep 7 or 8 staples on Sunday. So before the week began, when I still had energy, I would prep for about an hour or so on Sunday. I would make a quinoa, I'd make a double batch of grilled chicken. I would, prep all my produce so I could just make quick salads throughout the week and add the chicken in. Then the other half of the chicken would become chicken fajita the next night. So I was able to at least take those prep staples that were already prepared and just quickly assemble them into fast, delicious, and easy meals throughout the week. So I did that after working as a private chef for a while. And then I realized that this is a system that could really help so many busy families, whether you're a private chef, a doctor, whether you're a stay-at-home mom and just running around all day long and busy. You come home from carpool and you have to think about what's for dinner. Here you have stuff already ready to go in the fridge. You pull it out and dinner is waiting for you. So I started the prepandrally.com meal prep subscription service, where you always have like an archive of different menus and access to individual recipes. If you just want to cook one individual item, if you want to bang out a full meal prep. And it was really supposed to serve as a guide to help busy families all around the world. And that's really what it was doing. And this is essentially the book version of the meal prep system. So it's split up into 10 new meal plans that are not on the website. I give all my tips and tricks at the start of the book on how to feed kids, picky eaters, all my essential storage containers, ingredients to stock your pantry with, things that I use over and over again that I buy in bulk, like maple syrup and avocado oil, olive oil, rice wine vinegar I use a lot. And then it takes you through 10 brand new meal plans. And an example of a meal plan looks something like this. You're banging out these staples at the start of the week. I walk you through a full grocery list. I take you through the entire prep. So it's those 7 or 8 dishes. So I walk you through each one step by step, and it's all simple things. It's a plain rice, a plain broccoli, with about to spice roasted chicken. And then all week long, you're able to just pull out your meal. So you close your book, you put everything in the fridge, and you're ready to rally. Prep on Sunday, you rally all week long. You're pulling out those staple dishes. You have poke bowls one night, you have the pineapple chicken with the rice you've already prepared the next night with the ponzu sauce. The next night you have this chili that you've already prepared, but you put out all these fun toppings and everyone gets to pick their own, which really helps picky eaters really enjoy the process, because if they don't like avocado, they don't have to have it. They could just have it with the chips on top, or they could have it with the sour cream if they don't like the guacamole, whatever it is. And then the last night of the week, you're usually taking something from the start of the week, like the already cooked broccoli, and making a quick and easy meal using something that you've already prepared. But it's usually a somewhat fresh meal, but it's always quick and easy one that takes minimal time. So 2 things that we're going to be preparing today, and if anyone has any questions, shout it out. I would love to answer any and all of your questions throughout. I love when it's super interactive and you guys can get all of your questions answered. I'm happy to help. Two things that we're going to prepare today is a stuffed pita pocket, so a grilled chicken pita pocket, which are so delicious and a great staple dish to always keep in your back pocket whenever you have leftover chicken. So let's say the holiday just ended, Shabbat just ended, or you just have leftover chicken from the night before. If you don't want to serve it that same way, we reinvent it, we shred up that chicken and we turn it into completely different meals so that you're never bored, you avoid food waste, you save a lot of money, you save a lot of time. So that's the premise of this book, is really being smart, savvy, creative in the kitchen, so that you really save a lot of time, money, and sanity. Okay, so two of the dishes that we are going to be making. Number one, I had them bookmarked and then I like totally lost them. Good thing I remember. I remember my book. Okay, so the first one is right here. So this is the grilled chicken pita pocket, which we're going to be making first. So if you have any leftover chicken, you're basically going to make a chicken salad and stuff it into pita. And then you could either grill it. Oh, I did have it pulled up right here. I have a second book. And then you're going to grill it so that it's not exactly a cold chicken salad, because I've never really loved cold chicken salads. I've always kind of thought it was not the most delicious thing, but grilling it allows you to have a warm chicken salad, so it's not this like freezing cold situation. Do you guys know what I mean? Is anyone else like not into cold chicken salads? I say that in the book, and I really just don't enjoy cold chicken. So that is why I turned it into a grilled chicken pita pocket. But if you like it cold, go for it. If you don't want to stuff it into pita, put it into lettuce cups. We always have a bunch of different options in the book. If you're vegetarian, if you're gluten-free, if you want to lighten it up, if your kids are even pickier and you want to, find a different way to serve it up. Okay, so I have some leftover chicken here. I've just shredded this. So all I'm going to do to make the chicken salad component that goes into these grilled chicken pita buckets, you're going to take some of your chicken, and it's up to you how fine you want to cut your chicken, if you want to shred it, if you want to finely dice it. I'm just going to chop it up a little bit more so you can really integrate nicely into those little pita pockets. Okay, and then we're just going to add lots of delicious flavors to brighten up the whole dish. And again, customize it. We're going to be adding some tarragon. If you don't like tarragon, use basil. If you don't want any herbs, leave them out. There are no rules. I always say, like, I would never go to the grocery store for just one item. So if a recipe calls for basil and someone doesn't have basil, I get that question all the time. I don't have this. Should I go to the grocery store to get it? And my answer is always absolutely not. Okay, absolutely not. Use your creativity, have fun with it, figure out what else could go well with this. Maybe you do have some parsley, maybe you have some dried herbs you want to use. Maybe instead of that, you could just use lemon, and that's enough freshness to kind of wake up all those flavors, and you don't really need anything else. Okay, so I just finally chopped up this chicken.
Dini, somebody's asking how many servings your recipes make.
So everything is really for a family of 4. So that's how I designed the meal prep system in the book in general, but you can always either double it, half it for 2, and adjust accordingly. But everything in the book, and I mentioned it in the beginning in the intro, everything was designed for a family of 4. So around 4 people. Okay, and same with the website as well. So to this chicken salad, I'm gonna add some capers. I know a lot of people either don't use capers or are scared of capers. What I like to do when I'm using capers is just chop them up. And this way you don't have these little ballies throughout your food. So I think that kind of turns people off a little bit, and also it ends up being a little too much in one bite. But if you just chop it up, it really disperses nicely throughout the chicken salad, and it really just gives these delicious, briny, salty nuggets. It's one of my favorite ingredients in the kitchen. And if you've ever fried capers, it's so delicious. So dry them off a little bit, throw them in some oil in a pan, and they almost like open up like flowers, and they get a little crisp. They're so delicious. So you could top any kind of roasted vegetable with them. They're really, really good. So definitely buy some capers to play around with them because they're so incredibly flavorful. So we have capers, chicken. I like to add some sun-dried tomatoes. So these are already julienned. So I'm just gonna add these right in. And I like to buy the sun-dried tomatoes packed in oil. That oil is so flavorful. The ones that don't have oil tend to be a little dry. The ones that come in the oil is kind of a double whammy because as you can see, I don't have very much oil left in here. That's because I save the oil and I use it in a pasta. A lot of times I'll take some of the oil and I'll pour it right in here because it adds such great flavor. So never throw that oil out. That is delicious gold right there. Super flavorful. So if you just make a pasta, throw some of that oil in there. Parmesan, you could use some of the actual sun-dried tomato pieces in there as well. Fresh basil, you have a delicious pasta in seconds because you had that really yummy oil. Okay, so already this is looking so beautiful. Okay, now I'm getting my pan nice and heated so I can show you how I get these nice and toasty. Okay, so to this, we're going to add some fresh herbs. I'm using tarragon. Tarragon is kind of an iffy herb. I feel like not very many people cook with tarragon. It almost has like a licoricey sort of flavor. I tend to love it, but I know people are iffy about it, and I know cilantro people are a little about. But again, like adjust, make it work for you. And that's what I say about this cookbook. And this is what I always say in all my cooking demonstrations. I'm not here to tell you what to do, how to serve things. This is the way the recipe was intended. I'm the opposite. I'm like, no, this is a little guide to make your life easier. But remember, it's your life. Like this needs to work for you. The recipes need to work for you. There's no one size fits all menu or recipe. So if you can have that confidence in the kitchen to be able to adjust, modify, make it work, that will serve you for the rest of your life. So whenever you open up any cookbook and you're able to say, oh, I can't actually eat pork, maybe I'll switch it out with chicken, or I actually don't like tarragon, maybe I'll do basil instead. If you can do that, you will be able to utilize your cookbooks a lot more. You will become a better chef. You'll be able to please your audience, your crew, anyone that you're cooking for, because you'll be able to modify and make it work, make it really delicious to suit your needs. Okay, tarragon goes in there. It smells so delicious. Garlic powder and some freshness. I do some fresh lemon zest and lemon juice. If I could have one tree, or I guess two trees, a lemon and a lime tree. I planted a lemon tree outside, but it's like such a baby. It needs to really grow up already because I go through so many lemons and limes. So if anybody knows where I can buy a full grown lemon or lime tree that produces at least like 50 lemons a year, let me know. Maybe even more. I go through so many. So I love the zest because it adds really, really great flavor. And then you have the juice, obviously, that carries that lemon flavor throughout this entire thing. And you don't want to go whenever you're zesting. So I'm just using a microplane here and it catches all the zest. It actually went missing in my house for the last month and I didn't know what to do with myself because I use this tool all the time. I've had it for at least like 8 years. I'm obsessed with it. It still works perfectly. You could get it on Amazon or really anywhere. It's not an expensive tool, but it adds so much flavor so easily to anything. So you could do this with lemon, you could do this with lime, you could even zest your ginger if you wanted to on here. Garlic you could zest on here. So it's a really great tool to have. And then we're just going to juice a lemon. Doesn't look like there are any seeds in here actually. Have you guys seen those seedless lemons in the store? It's actually pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just going to juice a lemon. I did a smaller batch than I normally do, so I'm just going to do 1/2 and just mix that all together. And then of course, I do a little bit of mayo, not much, but a little bit. If you wanted to omit it, you can, but it does help it get a little creamy and stuffs inside nicely to these pita pockets. Look at these flavors, the colors. You can also do this with fish. If you have any leftover like cod or if you have leftover halibut. Okay, and then of course we gotta just season it with some salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. And I always use kosher salt. And my pepper mill is right here. And fresh pepper makes all the difference in the world. When you could grind fresh pepper, you actually taste the pepper. When you buy pre-ground pepper, it has 0 flavor. Trust me. And it doesn't have to be like a fancy, I got this on Amazon, but it doesn't have to be a fancy peppermint, it could be anything. But grinding it fresh makes all the difference. And I know McCormick makes one that looks like it's grinding it fresh, but they're not full peppercorns. They're already like cut in half. But if you get full peppercorns, grind it fresh, there is a massive difference, trust me. Okay, so let's finish these up real quick. We're gonna take our pitas. And again, if you just wanted to serve this on crackers, serve it as a first course in a lettuce cup. There's so many things that you could do with just this. You could roll it up in a taco, you could put it in a burrito, whatever you want to do. Put it in an egg roll wrapper. And I have a whole page on my book all about my essential repurposing methods where I say put it in a taco, wrap it in a burrito, bake it in an egg, throw it in a casserole. So all the different ways that you could repurpose something in a whole new way. So we're going to take our little pita pocket and you're just going to stuff your chicken mixture inside. If you're a fan of cold chicken salad, by all means, eat it as is. But I love a warm chicken salad and I love when the bread gets crispy too. To me, unless bread is toasty and crispy, it doesn't cut it. Okay, so you're just going to close your little pita pocket up. And then I have some avocado oil I'm adding to a pan. Whenever I fry anything, high heat temperature, I roast anything, I always use avocado oil. It's already nice and heated, if you could hear that. You guys see? I've preheated the pan. I like to use a nice heavy bottom pan here. Or you can also use a grill pan. You can take it outside in the summer and actually grill it on your barbecue. But you're just really getting it nice, crisp, golden, and warming that chicken salad through in the center. Okay, any questions so far?
There aren't really any questions, but there are some people who are agreeing with you that, using, pita or other different devices, someone recommended bell peppers even, or crackers,
Yeah.
we're just taking pieces of lettuce and using that as, your little lettuce cup is just a way to.
Yeah, 100%. And at the start of each meal plan, I have a whole section on how to switch it up to make it work for vegetarian, for vegan, if you want to lighten it up, if you're pickier kids and they don't want to eat the, whatever it is, the chicken that you prepared. And I always say, put it in a taco, call it a taco night, let them put whatever they want inside of it. Give them the opportunity to sort of build their own meal using what you've already prepared so that you're not making 10 meals for your family. Okay, look how fast and crisp and delicious that is. Look at this. You hear that?
Yeah.
Nice heavy bottom pan. You want to get it nice and heated. And then you're just going to cook it on either side just for a couple seconds and you're good to go. And then what I also do is I cut it down the center. So I have almost two smaller triangles. And it's really fun for the kids to eat. It's also a great thing to pack on like a Sunday. If you're going out for the day, you want to pack a picnic or you want to pack lunch, you could bring these along with you. So
Dini, someone's asking if you can use a different type of oil instead of avocado, can you use olive oil?
yeah, so I like using, if I'm using an olive oil, I do a light tasting olive oil or like a really good quality olive oil so that you're not, so it's not too smoky because otherwise it will create a lot of smoke if it doesn't have a high smoke point. It's not a high smoke point oil. But I tend to have, I always have 2 oils in my little section over here. This one is my extra virgin olive oil, and even the kids know it. Like whenever they're like going to put some oil on their pasta, they have the extra virgin olive oil here, and this one's the avocado oil. So this is really how I do all my cooking, and I think it's the healthiest. Seems to be one of the healthiest options for high heat cooking. Macadamia nut oil is also a really good high heat cooking oil as well. I used to buy that for a client. Okay, so guys, listen. So crisp and delicious. And what you could do is just kind of cut it in half like that. Look at this. And you have these beautiful little pita pockets ready to enjoy. Put them on your plate and eat them up. They're so yummy. And like you would never know if that was last night's leftover chicken, right? So it really just takes some creativity to really make a delicious new meal. So as long as you get creative, and that's what the book is really meant to do. It's meant to inspire. And it's meant to always help you whenever you have leftovers, whenever you want to make one dish at the start of the week and turn it into a few different things. This is really meant to be your guide. Okay.
With the chicken, with the leftover chicken, like, I mean, we make all different types of chicken. Does it work with anything specific?
Yeah, so I just made some like spiced roasted chicken thighs. That's what I had. You could do grilled chicken breast and cut it up. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to use. I just like to be able to shred it into little pieces. You could even go to the grocery store if you want to like cheat one week and go to the grocery store, buy a rotisserie chicken or 2, shred that and turn that into these meals, by all means, that works as well. And that's the easy way to go about it. Sometimes you can find a rotisserie chicken for less expensive than buying an uncooked chicken, which I'm always so surprised by. So definitely take advantage of that on busier weeks where you still want to have a home cooked meal, but really use your grocery store to make it easy.
And
Okay.
is there a recipe for the chicken in your cookbook? Like just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my favorite chicken from the book is in meal prep number 1. And if you're trying to meal prep for the first time, I really recommend going to meal prep 1, which is this one, spiced and stewed. So you're making really yummy soup, these roasted sweet potatoes, a double batch of the spiced barbecue rubbed chicken. So it's really just a spice mixture. You're putting it all over the chicken, throwing it in the oven. It couldn't be easier. That's essentially what I did with this. Super simple. You're making these crispy chickpeas, but again, if you're short on time that week, you can either omit it or buy the store-bought crispy chickpeas. You don't have to make them homemade. Broccoli, quinoa, and this yummy ranch dressing. So you're prepping those staples at the start of the week. And then once you have that all prepared, you're ready to rally. The first night you're having half of that chicken with some of the veggies and the sweet potatoes. The next night you're having that soup with half of the broccoli and some of the chickpeas on top. The next night, oh, we skipped a night, hold on. The next night you're having the other half of the chicken and the other half of the broccoli gets chopped up together and rolled into egg rolls fresh that night, but using the chicken and the broccoli you've already made, and you're dunking it into the ranch that you've already made. So you have a whole new meal. And the last night you're taking that little bit of leftover sweet potatoes and the chickpeas and making the super yummy salad with the ranch dressing, these Santa Fe bowls. But this chicken in this first meal plan, if you have the book, is such a good one. It's so simple and a great one that kids just love. So it's a really, really simple one to prepare and really just use whenever you need to just get dinner on the table.
Amazing. And is there an ebook version?
There's not an ebook version, but on Amazon you can buy the book. There's also a Kindle version. I saw like a less expensive Kindle option. But if you just search Amazon, you'll find the book on there. If you do buy it, please leave a review. It's so helpful. I appreciate it so much. And then the next one that we're going to be making, now that we already have some leftover chicken already prepared, are these yummy, it's so funny, I literally, oh here. Okay, there we go. I was like, I thought I bookmarked this. So these flautas are so yummy, so simple. It's going to take us seconds to make. Essentially, you're taking just some leftover chicken, rolling it into some tortillas. You could either fry them or you could bake them in a baking dish, and you dunk them in the most delicious salsa roja. So simple, so delicious, and like very California vibes, really yummy. So to start, we're just going to take that same spice roasted chicken. You could leave it as is. You don't need to do anything to it. You could roll it up in this tortilla. If you wanted to spice that up differently, you can, but I always just like leave it the way it is, roll it up, and then just dunk it into something really yummy and delicious. If you're using corn tortillas, they could be a little bit finicky because they are, they're kind of stiff and they tend to break a little bit. But if you warm them nicely on a nice heavy bottom pot or pan, it really softens the corn and becomes more pliable. So you're able to roll it without it breaking. Okay, you could also do this with flour tortillas if that's easier for you. But the flavor of the corn tortilla is like my favorite ever. So you're just going to put it on, really called a comal. But really you could do this with any pan. No oil, that's why I wiped this out. So as you can see, I'm just putting it directly on the hot pan, and just the warmth of the pan, just keep flipping it to warm it up a little bit. And just the warmth is gonna help make it more pliable so that we could roll it. So all you're gonna do is just take some of your chicken, put it right down the center, and then you're just gonna roll it like a little cigar. Okay, like that. Okay, and then what I do is I just layer it into a baking dish like this. Okay, and then I top it with a little bit of oil and I just bake it. And this way you could prepare this at the start of the day, pop it in the fridge, or you could even just, you know, it just takes a lot less time than actually frying each individual one. If you want to fry it, it's delicious that way too, but baking it is a lot simpler. Then they get super crispy, and if you put it seam side down like I've done, it holds them together. And then once you oil it, it'll stick together. And that way you could just hold it like a little cigar and dunk it. So yummy. Okay, so that's how to make those flautas. It's the best. It's my go-to. Anytime I have any kind of leftover chicken, meat, roasted veggies, whatever it is, throw it into a tortilla, roll it up, fry it. The kids love it because they could hold it and dunk it. It's crispy and absolutely delicious. And then to go with it is this yummy dunking sauce, which is a salsa roja. So really just a red salsa. So I've already just broiled some tomatoes, some onion, and some garlic. So I literally just put it on a baking sheet, olive oil, salt, throw it under the broiler for a couple minutes. And then we're just going to add some parsley or cilantro if you like. It's totally up to you. Remember, this is your food. Make it any way you like it. If you don't like herbs at all, you can totally leave it out as well. And then we have some lime.
Would this work with a whole wheat wrap?
Totally, 100%. That would be delicious in a whole wheat wrap. You could also bake it. You could fry it so it's crispy. When you fry it, it would come out more like the pita pocket. It would get crispy like that. It would be super yummy. Okay, so some lime and then salt and pepper always. And then once you're done, just taste it and make sure that it's seasoned properly, and you could always adjust and add more. I'm a big believer in seasoning as you go, because that's really the only way to know if your food is flavorful, right? Or if it's to your liking. You may like things salty or you may like things less salty. It's really a personal preference. So do you and make it work. An option in the book is to use one of these Anaheim, California chilies. You could buy them on Amazon. Some specialty stores have them, and they're essentially, you hear the seed in them. They're so delicious. They have a little smoky flavor. They really aren't spicy. They're super mild. And in order to use them, because you buy them dried, I'm just filling my cup up with a little bit of boiling water. Okay. So I like to pop, when I'm broiling the veggies, I like to pop it in at the end just to give it a little bit of toasty flavor, just to char it for like a second, but you could totally skip that step. It's not so important. So all you're gonna do here is you're going to soak it in some hot water and leave it, like let it sit for just a couple minutes. And what that's gonna do is just soften it so that you could then blend it up into your salsa. Again, it's an option. You do not need to add it in. This book is all about ease. It's all about options. So if you don't have this, if you don't like this, it's totally up to you. If you do want to add some heat and do it really easily and you're not able to access these California chilies, you could even just get chipotles and adobo, add a little bit of the actual chipotles into the salsa mixture and blend that up. That'll also give you that smoky flavor. Super easy. You don't have to do any of the soaking or anything. Okay, so this will take a good like 10 minutes or so to fully soften. And then you would just blend it up into your salsa. And I really like using wide mouth mason jars, whether it's the tall ones for big sauces. I have the smaller ones for smaller items and like smaller batches of sauces. But the best part is that your head of your immersion blender fits right into it. So I'm able to prep in these mason jars. You're also able to store it in there, and you're able to serve in it. So you're able to really do everything in one dish. And the fewer dishes that I can use when I'm cooking or prepping, the better. And that's really how I had to think when I was working as a private chef. It's like, how can I get in and out of this person's house as quickly as possible, efficiently as possible? I want to use as few dishes as possible. So if I'm, let's say, preparing a salad, you want to make sure you prepare the salad on the cutting board first. And then if I'm going to be cutting chicken or whatever it is, you do that after. So you don't have to use two different cutting boards, right? So you really have to forward think and figure out how you can be most efficient with your time and your effort. And that's also why in the cookbook, I lay out the entire meal prep in a specific order so that you're prepping the soup first, and then comes the chicken, and then comes the roasted vegetables, and then the sauces come last because they usually don't have to cool before you store them. So you're making those sauces while everything else is finishing up cooking, cooling, so that you could then put everything together at roughly the same time. And I think it's such an important lesson, even when you're prepping for Shabbat or a holiday, is to really think about, okay, what do I have to make first? How can I have 4 different things going at one time? Well, that's in the oven, then I'll get started with the rice, and while the rice is cooking, then I'll start my salad dressing. right? So you really want to think in that way so you're most efficient, okay? With the salsa, I'm just blitzing it just a couple times because you want it to be sort of like, I hate the word chunky, I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, I just don't like that word. But I like to leave it piecey or chunky because that's just how I like my salsa. I don't like it fully pureed. This salsa is so good, lasts in your fridge all week. And then of course in the cookbook, we have a bunch of different ways to reuse your salsa. You could serve it on different chicken dishes. You could serve it in, there's a yummy breakfast chilaquiles recipe if you have extra. So there's always a repurpose for really everything. I'll show you that really quick. Chilaquiles. So if you have leftover salsa from the week, you literally put this in a pan, add some tortilla chips, fry it all up, top it with some cheese, some lime. It is like the best meal ever. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, a question just came in, and I'm sure everybody, like, I am starving looking at this. I'm just so hungry and it looks so good.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, when do you use lime and when do you use lemon?
Good question. They're very similar flavor profiles because it's acid. So at the end of the day, like when I feel like a dish needs something, it just tends to need acid. A lot of times they're interchangeable. So if a recipe calls for rice wine vinegar, but you only have white wine vinegar, they're very similar. I tend to use lime more in like Mexican style dishes and lemon and kind of everything else, but they really are interchangeable. And I think the main thing is to really just play around with it. Try different flavors, see what you like most, and just get creative and test it out. You could even take like cauliflower, put a little bit of lime on it, put a little bit of lemon on it, take a bite of each of them and see what you like more. Because again, it's a personal preference, but at the end of the day, they both have that acidic flavor profile, which is really what I feel like most food is lacking. Unless it's salt, it usually just needs a punch of acid, and lemon and lime are always a really, really good choice.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And no, and I love the immersion blender in the mason jar. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like I'm gonna start doing that.
Exactly. And so many people, like, I have a Vitamix and I love a Vitamix, but I would never make a soup in the Vitamix or put a sauce in there. It just dirties up a whole other thing. I would just use an immersion blender because this is all you have to clean now. It's so easy. You just give this a little rinse and you're done. And then using the immersion blender, you can just save a ton of dishes by just going right in there. Now I'm going to pop a lid on this. You throw it in the fridge, you store it, take it out to serve it, and like you're good to go. So I also love glass storage containers because you could take the top off, you could heat in your glass storage containers, you could serve in the glass storage containers if you like, and then you could store it again in the glass storage containers, as opposed to the plastic ones. You have to figure out, okay, what am I going to put it in? Am I going to put it in tin foil? La, la, la. So it just makes it really, really simple if you're using glass. Plus, it's really great when you get to see everything in your fridge, so you know what you have. You can keep inventory, so nothing goes to waste, gets lost.
Someone's asking, is the idea more to cook and have it all ready early in the week, or just to cook and leave it all separate so you can put it together later?
So it's a great question. So it's really, it's again, personal preference. So some people that follow my program like to just pick out their meal prep that they want to bang out for the week. They shop for everything on Sunday and they like to cook everything as they go through the week. So Monday night, they're cooking Monday night's dinner. Tuesday, they're cooking Tuesday's dinner. They like everything like perfectly fresh out of the oven that day, and that works for them. But honestly, just having the groceries already shopped for, knowing that what your menu is for Monday through Thursday, that helps them get through the week, and that just makes life really simple. Other people like to bang out everything on Sunday, even if the recipe, like a lot of times I'll say just marinate the chicken on Sunday and cook it fresh Monday night. Some people want to just cook it all, on Sunday and just get it done with. Some people want to just marinate it or just prep their vegetables and put them on a baking sheet, throw it in the fridge, and then actually cook it fresh that night. So again, there are a million different ways to go about it. It really just depends on how much time you have on Sunday, what you're physically able to accomplish, and then just your personal preference on what you like to do. But there are always options. There are no rules. It's really meant to serve as a guide and just to help you get through the week, because it is stressful. It's hard. If you're working, you're busy, you have kids. The juggle is so real. Trust me. Like right now, I literally shoved my kids in my bedroom. They're watching a movie. They're eating a hot noodle, like one of those little instant noodle soups. I'm like, guys, I don't have time. Take these, go in the room. So honestly, I'm real. I'm with you. The kids are off school until next Thursday. But it's honestly, we're just making it work and just getting through the week. And as I say in the book, trying to just keep the tiny humans well fed, alive, happy. And that's what we're just trying to do, is just get through it all stress-free and enjoy it. And that's what it's really meant to do, is give you more time out of the kitchen so you could be enjoying your life and going to the basketball games, going to the soccer games, and really doing what you like doing and being able to come home to dinner and not have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, I love the idea of making it easy, and also the idea of using food so that you're over and repurposing things so that you're, not eating the same thing, but that you're also not having waste.
Yeah,
'Cause sometimes there's just so much, and you're trying to, what do I do with this? So I love that there's kind of a plan there.
Exactly. So when you're going into the week and you're buying a whole head of parsley, like if you're not using the whole thing, hopefully there's a way for you to repurpose it, or tips on how to store it so that you can use it another time, putting it in an ice cube tray and storing it in your freezer so you could use it later. Or maybe you're using it in a salsa and storing that for the week. So hopefully the hope is for it to really serve as a guide, to really save a lot of time and money and effort, and get you out of the kitchen while still enjoying homemade meals.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. And if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to email me, Dini@prepandrally.com. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, attempting to do that, but haven't really gotten so into it, but everything at Prep and Rally. And you can find the book on Amazon. If you have purchased it, if you're loving it, if you're not loving it, please leave a review. Hopefully you're loving it. And you can write a positive review. And yeah, I really hope it serves as a guide. It really makes your life simple and enjoyable, and have delicious meals all week long, stress-free.
Well, thank you so much, Dini. This was terrific. And we recommend that you follow Dini on social media and check out her website, and of course her beautiful cookbook, which if you fill out our brief evaluation survey, that is linked in the chat now, you can have the chance to win one of 3 signed copies. So please fill out our survey. Evaluations really do inform future programming. And we really appreciate your time to fill that out. Again, special thanks again to Elena for sharing her story with us this morning. Our social workers and genetic counselor are here for you and your loved ones. Share It provides emotional support, mental health counseling, and other programs designed to help you navigate through the cancer experience. All are free, completely private, one-on-one. Our number is 866-474-2774, and you can also email us at clinicalstaff@shareit.org. Finally, I want to share a couple of exciting webinars coming up as part of the Share It Summit. Join us on October 19th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for Ask and Advocate, creating a positive relationship with your treatment team, and learn about creating a strong collaborative relationship with your treatment team. Join us on October 24th, again, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a Girlfriend's Guide to Breast Cancer, as experts share recent updates on reducing cancer risk, detecting cancer at early stages, and answering your questions. Please check out our website regularly to see what topics are coming up. The link is in the chat. You can also access the recordings and transcripts of all of our past webinars on our website. We will be sending out the recording of this program in the next week or so, along with tips that have been taken throughout the recording. From all of us at Share It, thank you so much for joining today's webinar, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Hi, everyone.